Much better now. All right. Are we ready? Is there
Yes,
anything?
yes.
Yeah. Any? No, no. Yeah. No. Oh, that's a little better. But I
That's
liked
like
it. I
that's how
liked
you
it.
do it.
Is that how you usually wear it? What
Yeah,
about front, but like on the side?
like Ti.
Like TI? No, I don't like
I was cracking jokes. He was like, "Yo, Ti's happy like this, leaning on his earlobe, and it never falls."
that's what LL said?
And he's like, "Ti's hat is serious." He said his hat be on the earlobe, and it just never falls.
Oh my god, that's funny. Yeah, wear it like how you normally would wear it. Like, but not like so tight on your head.
Nah,
That's tight.
these type of hats I don't wear like this. Like the dad hats I don't wear like this, but like
Yeah, it needs to just be loose.
yeah, like it's usually like just like that.
Yeah, that looks better. Like, you don't want it tight. All right, now you look a little more loose and comfortable. No. It makes your head, no.
This is square, so it looks.
It
That's
looked
why I
too,
always.
yeah, it looked too square.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. That's perfect.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Finally getting back to me, my art. All I want to do is art. And the other thing is that I love stories. So like to me, art is in everything. Your art is your voice, your speaking, your connection. You can feel everyone's energy. That's your art. It's the art of living to me. So art and hustle to me is the art of living and art of it and everything.
I hope that you cut that piece right there and make it your intro and your outro, because that was dope.
Greetings from Shaolin. Welcome, Dave Harper. This is the Art and Hustle Gallery of Conversations, and I'm happy to have my partner, Dave Harper, here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So for all of you who know and don't know, me and Dave had started Art and Hustle back in, what year did we start it? 2000?
I think it was 2017 or 2018, something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that.
So we were gonna get to know you now and find out a little bit about your background, where you grew up, your love for music, and how did it start. So let's bring it back to the beginning. How was your childhood, and where were you born?
Actually, I was born in Brooklyn, East New York,
Mm-hmm.
and at probably 2 or 3, moved to Far Rockaway, Queens,
Mm-hmm.
and I grew up there up until the age of 14, 15 when I moved to Long Island. But
Yeah.
my love of music comes from my family. I come from a very big family. My family likes to party. So, I've always been around music, in the house, my mom and dad would have music blasting, the 70s music, disco music and shit like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And it's just, I've always been around music. So when I got a little older, I can remember my grandmother bought me like one of these big cassette decks, whatever, like the old school cassette, like when you had
Oh
the
yeah.
big buttons with the handle and
Oh
you pop
yes.
it out and it like that. So she
Mm-hmm.
bought me one of those with some tapes, and I would stand in front of the TV, this black and white TV we had in the projects, and I would stand there and watch Michael Jackson videos. This was like the beginning of when videos first started becoming popular.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember recording Thriller and just with my recorders right next to the TV, and I would play it, rewind it, play it, rewind it. And that was like one of my first great musical influence was Michael Jackson's, just the music and then the visuals to what he put to his music. That was my first love of music.
Who was more into the music, your mom or your dad, that really resonated with you more?
I really don't know. I really don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, they were always playing music loud in the house, whether,
Yeah.
just because, or my mother might have been cleaning or something like that.
Yeah.
But, it was always music around, and it's just like that feel good music, not like blues and, kind of like sorrow and what do they call it? Duets and love songs. Nah, this was like get up, boogie down music,
like dance, like
dance
fun,
music. It was
happy.
upbeat music that you would get up and just want to dance.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
dancing is like the music that makes you want to dance is in my spirit.
And
Yeah.
then you had a couple of childhood friends, I feel like, that influenced you,
Oh
right?
yeah, no, just like I still have my my friends I grew up with from first grade. We're still really close. We live far apart from each other now, but we're really close.
Yeah, the twins, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we stay in contact, but when we were growing up, it at some age, like with the influx of kids in hip hop, we grew up in the hip hop era, the early hip hop era.
Yeah.
Then when kids our age started getting on and making songs and making money and doing that, we wasn't even thinking about making money. We was just thinking about, we want to be rappers, we want to be kid rappers, and so we formed our little crew. At first we started out dancing. We had a dance crew. We lived in Far Rockaway. We had a
How old
dance
were you
crew.
guys when you started your dance crew?
Probably 12.
And how many people were in it?
Started with just us. It was like
Yeah.
3 or 4 who lived around each other, and then we met a couple of people, and we wound up being a dancer. We wound up being a dance crew for a local female artist, Brown Eyes. And with her, she had connections, and she was competing in talent shows that was very popular at the time for throughout New York City. It's called the All Stars. They're still around, but you don't really hear too much about them. Competing, people from everywhere would compete in in these talent shows. It's like a statewide talent show almost.
Wow.
And it was competitive, and it was a really dope experience. That's when I first got my first I would say my first influence into performing, and like the performance part of music. We had since we was a dance crew, we had the choreographer. We had to get a choreographer, and we had dance steps and routines, and we had practice and stuff like that.
Wow.
So we would when the events were scheduled, we had a timeline to get it all right. And then our stage shows were dope because they were elaborate in layers.
Wow. Okay.
Like our choreographer, he was a dancer, and he knew how to sew, so he would make our stage outfits.
Wow.
So we had matching jackets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like we would have our dance routines would be choreographed around certain songs. Like I remember one of them was like Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation. Then the song would switch. We would take off the jacket, and something else would be under it, and it was just like elaborate. It was elaborate, where like almost like that show back in the days where like Putting on the Hits or the Gong Show or something. Yeah. So it was
like a theme of one color, and then you take it off, and then there'd be like another
switch, and then the song was switching, and just boom.
Yeah.
And it was like that's how it was. Then we hooked up with MC Brown Eyes and became her backup dancers, where she was on the mic and we were just the dancers. And that was dope. It was a dope experience.
These dance things, these were all before CI, right?
Yeah, this came before I moved to Long Island.
Yeah. So then you were young while you were in this dance crew. What was the name of the dance crew you guys were part of?
We was called the Foot Soldiers. We were called the Foot Soldiers. We came out in camouflage once. We had our camouflage outfits. And so the funny thing is, I think I inspired my friends to want to dance.
Oh, really?
I inspired them to want to get on the mic too, because I think I've always been more of a visionary.
Yeah.
Of
ideas.
Yeah. When it came to dancing, I remember when we were in elementary school, with hip hop videos coming out, I was in awe, like, damn, hip hop videos. And I would just sit there and watch the dance sequences and learn the dances in those videos of all the popular videos.
So you would dance in front of the TV and just learn all the choreography?
Yeah, I would learn the moves. I wouldn't even practice. I would just watch it and pick up every little piece every time I watched it. And then our school at the time, we went to a called PS 114. It was in the white section of Far Rockaway called Bell Harbor.
Okay.
Our school that we went to would throw, like every other month or so, they would throw like school dances.
Oh, okay.
And I remember the first time, I got the courage to jump out there and start dancing. It's like, oh, Dave know how to dance. And so and so my boys saw that, and then that's how we started dancing together.
So they didn't know that you had some moves on you, huh?
Nah. And then, by the next dance, we had our shit together, and it was like, boom, we had our routines, and we was just going at it. And it was like that we became a clique after that. So people were like, yo, they know how to dance, they get busy.
Yeah,
of course, junior high school, it's like, girls start paying attention and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was like, yo, that's the crew right there. Them boys know how to dance.
Did Jamal dance too?
Yeah, Jamal was part of it.
Jamal's part of it.
Even Joseph and Jamal. So,
Joseph.
yeah, but that's one of my earliest influence in dancing. So that came with just watching videos. And then I think when Crisscross came on the mic, I was like, oh. So, I was living in Central Islip by that time. I would go back to Brooklyn, and I'm like, yo, man, you see them kids Crisscross? We could do that, man. Into rapping and rhyming and stuff like that, trying to, put our group together as far as being a group of rappers. I think our first name was I think it was called the Nitwits or something like that. Called the Nitwits.
That was the first rap group that you guys decided to
Yeah, that was the name of the first rap group, the Nitwits.
Okay. The Nitwits.
We went around getting into mischievous shit, so it's like, yo, that's Nitwit shit. So but yeah, so that just hip hop has always been my biggest influence.
It's like running through your veins, right?
Yeah, hard. Like hard. Hip hop to me is like the soundtrack of life for me. Always beating in my heart. Everything is. I see things through a hip hop
lens,
perspective. Hip hop lens and perspective. Everything is hip hop to me. That's why I got it on my arm. I am hip hop, because I apply it to everything. In more or less, I apply it to everything.
Yeah. Now, when you went to CI, did music become a little bit harder for you to get like into the rhythm of it? Like, because I know when you went to CI, there was a disconnect between you and your friends at one moment. Didn't you lose contact with them for a little bit?
Yeah, that was a growing up in the projects, that's all I knew was the projects, like buildings and urban life, and like my surroundings was that. Yeah. So it was a culture shock to me to have to move to the suburbs, and it's like, just to go to the store, I gotta walk a while. Like, yo, ain't no sidewalks out here. They're like, yo, I'm like, yo, why they don't have sidewalks? Everywhere we went in the boroughs, it's like, yo, we got sidewalks. I'm like,
it's dangerous, right?
Yeah, I'm like, it was a huge disconnect for me as a culture shock, because like, I don't know this way of life. I don't know nobody out here.
Yeah.
You moved me from my friends. I lost contact with them for about a year of, moving. And then it just so happens that my step pops, he was a conductor for the MTA in the borough.
Yeah.
And his line was running through Far Rockaway, and he just happened to see them. And, they gave the number, and we connected. We never lost contact again.
Yeah. So wait a minute, when you moved, like they had no idea your new number or anything like that when you moved?
You know what? I was so shell-shocked that I moved out, that I was moving, that I didn't tell anybody that I was moving. They knew. They knew, but the number changed.
Yeah.
Number changed, and I didn't have their phone number, because they were poorer than my family. They were poorer than my family. So they didn't have a house phone regularly on. So it was like, it would be on for a little bit, then it wouldn't be on. Times was tough back then. This was like the late 80s rolling into the 90s, the early 90s.
Yeah.
So, I moved to CI in 91. So, that's just fresh off the 80s. That was the projects and the crack era. So it was tough. So, everything, my way of life that I knew was just taken away. The way I looked at it was taken away. I was just implanted somewhere else where I felt like an alien, different.
And when you were in Far Rockaway, weren't you like bused to like white schools at one point?
Yeah. We and my friends too. We were part of I didn't realize this too recently, that we were part of I guess you could call it an affirmative action.
Yeah, right. Like where you like trying to diversify.
About 30-40 minutes away from the projects, or within this cluster of projects between between 40th Street and 50 something Street. Just those about 2 to 3 miles maybe of that distance.
Yeah.
Just different projects, people from different projects just clustered onto a bus. And it was only, the bus was only held about 60 kids. So, you know, you were selected. I think it was a pool that your parents put you in, and you were selected, and you got to get on that one bus.
Wow.
That one bus from the project. If I'm not mistaken, it was one bus that got all of us from the projects.
And how long was this bus ride?
It was about 30 minutes long on a big yellow cheese bus. That's what we used to call it, the cheese bus. And, you know, we raised hell on the bus. We young kids from the project raising hell. But when we got to school, you know, some of us still have those relationships with the kids we met at that school out there. I ran into somebody recently, and he was just telling me about one of the kids that was in our elementary school class. Like he still speaks to him.
Oh yeah.
I still speak to a few of those people.
And it was predominantly white, like yuppie.
Yeah, it was definitely predominantly white. Like smack dead in the middle of a white neighborhood.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Age grades 1 through 6.
1 through 6. Okay, those are some serious years of education right there, right?
I was there from 1st grade to 6th grade, graduated from there, and then went to junior high school. It's weird because my older cousin went to the school too. The I was there, my first year there. At the end of my first year there, he was graduating. My aunt got him into the school, and that's how we wound up going, because my aunt told my mother, get them into school. So me and my sisters went. Me and my 2 sisters went to that school also. And you know, a couple of things stand out. A couple of teachers here and there. But as far as anything like that, I feel like probably would shape me, I don't really recall that. You know.
I mean, so how was your father? Was your father around when you were little, or like how did that shape you? Because I know you had experience when you were younger. I feel like that's a pivotal part. Like, was your father
Nah, my pops was around, but he wasn't around. So, you know, and like a lot of us in that era and in that environment, either not around or around but not really around at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's what makes young Black boys bond with each other, that when your father's not there, you need that brotherhood, so that way you can hold each other down, because the father, you know, your father's going to hold you down when it comes to stuff, when it comes to being outside and learning how to be a boy to a young man, either to a young man to a grown man. Start at the young age. You know, if you don't have that, you're pretty much left to your own vices and just figuring it out amongst other people who are trying to figure it out. It's like the blind leading the blind.
It's really tough, because I mean, back then, majority of Black fathers were either taken away, or something happened in the family where they're not around anymore, or they're in jail, or something happens. And you know, a lot of kids in a lot of Black families, they don't have their father around. So I feel like that's a huge thing that will shape who you are as a man growing up.
Yeah, it definitely
without
does.
that lack of a father figure.
You don't have that influence. You don't have that male role model to pretty much back you up in the development of your personality, like who you're going to become. Because you know,
or check you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I know the biggest thing is like, every boy looks at their father as a hero at some point in their life when they're younger. That hero figure that you have resonates to you. And it may not even be the right way, but it just makes you feel something. Like, you know what? I'm just going to follow it.
Like, at that point, if you don't have your father around, I think, unfortunately, the streets is your family, and your friends are your family. And, you know, the guy on the street who's making a good amount of money, and, you know, he could be a drug dealer, he could be doing this, he could be doing that, but you're looking at him as like, wow, he's got money, he's got girls around, like, I want to be like him.
Yeah. You know? And that's what happens, and it's still happening.
Yeah.
And honestly, the pace hasn't changed at all.
Really?
I don't think the pace has changed. I believe that it's more of a conscious effort now for Black men to achieve certain milestones and break certain habits. A guy who grew up in the suburbs without their father versus a guy who grew up in the projects without their father, gonna have two different experiences through different phases of life, because their minds are shaped differently.
Yeah,
You know,
that was you. That's what happened to you, because technically there were two sides of you, because if you grew up in the projects, that's one personality of yours, of how you grew up, and then you went to CI.
there's a saying like, it ain't where you from, is where you at. And that saying goes to, you know, where you can go anywhere, but depending on the energy and the perspective you have,
Yeah,
you're gonna find the same people no matter where you're at.
yeah.
Like, so if you have this type of mentality, which you come from the projects, even though you're in the suburbs, you're gonna find people who have that same mentality.
Yeah, that's true. You're gonna attract that similar type of energy, right?
So it is, you know, it ain't where you're from, it's where you at, and where you, and it's a mind state thing. It ain't always physical most of the time. Majority of the time it's not physical. It's more of a mental thing. So, you know, you can find fucked up people wherever you go if your mind is not attuned to finding something better.
Yeah, exactly. And now tell everybody how your family actually got to CI. What made you guys move to CI?
I don't know the reason why she left. I mean, we moved out of the projects right before we moved to Long Island for about a year and a half.
Yeah, and your aunt had a real estate business, right, in Brentwood?
Yeah, no, we moved out of projects for about a year. My mother and my stepdad were renting a house, and it was cool. To me, it was cool, but from what I was told later on, is like the landlord didn't want to fix anything and was trying to raise the rent, and they was like, you know, if we're gonna have a house, we might as well buy a house and be in charge of our own shit. That way we didn't have to give somebody our money that don't want to fix anything. So I think that was the determining factor to wanting to, you know, move somewhere. And, you know, my aunt being in real estate for so long before then, she had her own, she had accumulated enough in her career that she started her own realty company in Long Island, in Brentwood.
Wow, that's great.
And so my mother talked to her, and she, you know, helped her find a house. And that's the story. She found a house in CI. And then we moved. So, you know, that's just how the story went, where they made a decision to say, hey, this is how our money works. We'd rather put our money into something we can control instead of giving somebody money who don't want to do anything. It wasn't, the house was nice, but it needed a lot of work. It was like honestly, I've driven past that house in the last maybe 5 to 10 years a couple of times just to go see how it looks, and it's been upgraded. So I'm pretty sure the owner at some point sold it to somebody else who made an investment and made it look amazing. But that house was great. It was a 7-bedroom house.
Oh, really? Where?
7 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, had a wraparound porch outside, and it was nice. 3 floors.
What area was that in?
It was in Far Rockaway, but we moved from Beach 56th Street down to Beach 68th Street. Most of the streets in Far Rockaway are called Beach. Start with Beach. Because honestly, Far Rockaway was built to be, it wasn't built to be home to projects. Far Rockaway was designed to be summer homes. It was designed to be strictly for summer homes for people. And then for some reason, I read up about it, but I don't remember all the details. It got transitioned to, you know what, build some project, send them out there.
Oh, really?
Far Rockaway is almost like an island because it's surrounded by, it's a peninsula. It's surrounded by water on 3 sides.
Oh, and peninsula.
I like to liken it to Alcatraz, because if you don't have a car, you have to get there by bus or train. And that's very, very long. Very, very long.
Wow.
So it's like one way in, one way out if you don't have a car. So, you know, we always used to say, like, if people come on a train and start trouble, Far Rockaway, there was always like this beef between Queens and Brooklyn back in the days. And dudes from Brooklyn used to come on the train and start, the first person they get off the train they see from Queens, like, yo, we fucking them up.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, why would you? I don't understand. Why would you go out there on purpose to start a fight out there? But this is not your neighborhood. Like, why are you going to someone else's neighborhood to start a fight?
Because, hey, what else we got to do? We bored on our block. Let's go to somebody else's block and fuck shit up. That's how it was. And then within Far Rockaway, with all the projects scattered around, it became a divide of my project is better than yours. I'm repping my project.
Oh.
And you see somebody from another project, yo, we fucking them up.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah. So was it tough for your sisters and you when you were in CI to like get used to the suburbs? Like how did it go?
Well, my younger sister Tiffany, she adjusted well because she was young.
Yeah.
She was younger.
Yeah. How many years younger is she?
4 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
So I got out there about 14, 15. So she was like
10,
something like that.
Yeah, 10,
Yeah,
11.
9, 10. Yeah, 9 or 10 or going on, her birthday's in September. So we moved in October 91. So I think she just turned 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
10 or 11. I don't remember really.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she adapted better than me.
Yeah.
Like we talked about it probably in the last couple of years, and she was like, that affected me.
Yeah.
She told me how it affected her, and it was I think it was easier adjustment for her than it was for me.
Okay. What about your twin?
She didn't come.
You didn't?
Mm-mm. She stayed in Brooklyn with one of my aunts. She was going to a nursing school, Clara Barton. She was going to a specialty high school, Clara Barton, and she didn't want to leave, so she wound up staying with my aunt for like a year or two, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think she finally came in for the junior and senior year for high school.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of like alone.
I was alone.
You were alone. Oh my God. So like you didn't even have your twin to at least like, have some backup there.
I was alone. So it's just like, you know what? Fuck all y'all. I didn't really, and I look back now, it's just like, it wasn't that I had that whole fuck everybody mentality. I was just like, I was just angry that I was taken from my friends.
Yeah.
I mean, because when you have friends that you grew up with from first grade, it's like, you're not looking at how to make new friends. It's just, yo, we knew each other. We was playing with He-Man and G.I. Joe's. It's like, yo, I got Cobra, I got Duke. Yo, let's play. And I remember like when I met Jamal, we was in the schoolyard, first grade, in PS 114. He had Cringer and Skeletor. I had He-Man and somebody else. I'm like, yo, what's up? You're like, yo, he got it. I'm like, yo,
now we can be friends. Now we got a whole crew.
Yeah. You got your toys, I got my toys. You my boy now. Yeah. And it's just like at 14, it's like, yo, you take me from here. I don't know how to make friends again.
Mm-hmm. Because you always had those friends there.
I always had them.
So for you to learn how to make new friends, like that wasn't something that you were.
Consciously, it wasn't something I knew how to do, because where's the common ground? At 14, you're not necessarily looking for common ground like that. It's just either you interact with somebody and it is what it is. It's easier with kids. Kids are like Robert Greene, one like a good author, one of my favorite books, The 48 Laws of Power. He said kids are the most complete people. And I believe that to be true, because kids have no biases. They don't, unless they're taught to be biased. So if you just leave a kid to their own development in a way, they're just they don't see color.
Because they don't have any prejudices. They don't have any.
They don't have those prejudices. They don't see color. So it's more like, hey, you want to play with me? Can I play with your ball? Can I play with your rope? Can I play with your toy? Like,
they just want to play.
You got a truck? Can I see it? So like that innocence attracts you to each other, because it's like, hey, I just want to have fun. And growing up, I've had that, and even people in school, we were in the same class, we joking around, we became friends. Like I still have a lot of contact with the people that I went to that elementary school with. Facebook has been that bridge to keep us in contact every now and then. But I didn't know how to just go about with the intention of making new friends. I'm like, I'm taking away from the friends I knew. How do I make new friends? Like, and coming from the project, I'm like, yo, I don't know these people. How could I trust them?
And then if you're in the projects, trust is a huge thing, because you have to protect yourself, and you have certain friends that are around you that are going to help you and protect you. So
so if something look funny, I don't know him, yo, that's an unfamiliar face, I stay on alert. So I'm in an environment where everybody's unfamiliar.
So to
I
you,
just turned into this,
everybody's the enemy, right?
right. So I just turned into this detective of just watching everything, like being observant just on everything and how the people's
Yeah.
behavior were. I
Yeah.
think that transition made me very introverted, where I just became a great observer of behaviors. And that's something that I think embedded in me now. Like I observe behaviors with how people act and how they speak. And I have this thing where I say, I listen to what people say versus what I listen to what people say and what they're not saying. And I watch their behaviors and see if there's an alignment.
So do you think that grew stronger and better for you when you were in CI as opposed to when you were in the projects of observing?
Yeah, I mean, that's something I had to, it became a new tool for me. Because like, you know, if I see you hanging out with this dude and then a week or whatever time later, and then all of a sudden y'all not cool, it's like, well, what happened? Y'all supposed to be boys. Why y'all not boys no more? What's going on?
Yeah, why?
Like if it's so easy to just not be friends like that, I've never experienced that, you know, up until that point in my younger life. I never experienced and see people just not be friends like that. To me, it's like, I still had life at that point. I'm like, yo, I known these dudes since first grade. And we've had fights, but we still remain friends. And I had fights with other people that I remain friends with. So it's like,
why? How are you not friends with these people?
How are you not friends? Like you just flipped on each other. That flip mode shit was
like. That's like shady to you.
It's completely shady.
Cheers.
Cheers. So you know, it's just a matter of like it was a humongous culture shock for me to go from shit to sugar, basically.
And you didn't enjoy the sugar. You're like,
I was used to my own. I was used to my shit. Then I got this sugar. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this sugar? What am I supposed to do with this? I don't know.
I don't know how to bake yet. I don't know what you want me to do with this.
Like I don't know what to do. I need more ingredients. So this big ass bowl of sugar.
And then technically, was there any sport? I know you wanted to play football, right? You really liked football. So did you try out and stay on the team for a little bit? How long did you stay on the team?
I don't remember the time, but I do remember I've always been an avid football fan, just thankfully to my older cousin who was more like a brother to me. And he lived across the street. No. He lived across the street from me when I lived in Far Rockaway.
Stanley, right?
Yeah. And he was more like a big brother. He was an athlete. He had tremendous trophies. And he treated me like a brother. So every time I went outside with him, you know, with him and his older friends playing sports, whatever it was, he's like, yo, I got my cousin. And he was just, you know, at the end of the game, whether win or lose, he was just like, give me pointers. This is what you do. Try this, do that. And I just became, you know, infatuated with sports and competition. So when I moved to Central Islip, you know, I was interested in getting on a football team. And actually I wanted to join the football team before, like I just started high school in Far Rockaway that year I moved. So I was in school for about a month and a half, my first year of high school, before I moved to Long Island. And I was going to try out for the football team. And then it was just taken away. So
you were a freshman in high school in Far Rockaway, but then you were a junior, you know, you were a sophomore or freshman in CI? Oh, freshman, right?
No, sophomore.
Oh, sophomore. Okay. So then like the academics of that is like different also for you. So you were just literally on another planet.
Everything was different. Everything was so different. So I tried out for the football team. I made the team. And, you know, I remember a couple of the coaches, they loved me. It was like, you got good hands and you're fast. Like, at that point, I was like, I want to play football. Like, my dream was to make it to the NFL, go to college and play football, try to make it to the NFL. And I just, that was all I wanted to do besides music at that time. It was either music or football. And, you know, I made the team easily. You know, one of my great memories that I have when it comes to sports, is making the team the way it, going to practices and stuff like that, learning, getting the camaraderie. I love camaraderie. Like male camaraderie is really big on my chart. And I was on the team. I think it was right before the season was going to start. So I went through the whole summer practices and stuff like that. And my mom bought me all the stuff that I needed. And at some point, she kind of burst my bubble and said, she said, I guess it's a form of support when you buy everything the kid needs, but it's more than that. She told me, she's like, I'm not coming to any of your games. I don't want to see you get hurt. And that kind of just fucked me up. It's like, yo, I ain't got no daddy. You got to come to my games.
And that's the honest truth. That's what you needed. Right?
And my father, he lived in, I think he was living in Washington, D.C. at the time.
I think he was. Somewhere, Maybe D.C. I think he was in D.C.
No. He was in Maryland at the time.
Oh, Maryland? Okay.
Maryland. So, I was playing baseball at one time. He came to one baseball game. He came to one baseball game. But for football, it was a different story for me. It's like football was my and still is my number one sport. I love football. So I made the team, but my mother saying that to me crushed me. And like I went to a few more practices, and then I was like, what am I doing this for if I'm not going to have anybody in the stands for me? I won it, but I didn't have that much. I had competitive nature, but I didn't have that fire to withstand someone telling me they're not going to support me and show up for me. So that kind of just doused my flame a little bit. And I was like, you know what? I love it, but nobody's cheering for me. So that kind of just put me in a different headspace all over again. So at that point, I was in contact with my friends again, and
so you quit football?
Like, you know what? I quit. I quit. And some of the guys on the team is like, yo, Dave, where you been, man? What's up with you? Why you not showing up? And I forgot what my answer was or whatever, but I was just like, at that point I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna just go hang out in Brooklyn or Queens, wherever my friends was at. I just started hanging out, getting on the train Friday afternoons right after school and go and hang out with my friends for the entire weekend, come home Sunday night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you were young. I mean, that's what, 15, 16 at then?
Yep. So I was out. Like, my friends make me feel better than me knowing I love football, but nobody's going to show up for me. And, so it's just like, you know what? I sought that external, what do they call it?
Validation or acceptance or?
No. It's, what is it called? External satisfaction or gratification. External gratification with the camaraderie that I was getting from my friends, with the comfort that I was getting from my friends that, again, I grew up with. So that was my comfort zone. So I'm uncomfortable. And I think that's part of human behavior. When you're uncomfortable, you seek the areas where you're comfortable with. Go right back to what you're used to.
What you're used to,
So that's the story of football.
Did you have any teachers in CI that helped you in any way?
No. No, I didn't really care about school like that. I just did enough to get by.
But you did well in school, didn't you?
Yeah, I did pretty good. I mean, I think my memory was better then than it is now, but I really had to study for tests and I would pass them. So, just pass, not like just barely pass them, but I would pass them with good grades. And so, I think if I would have just applied myself a lot more, I would have been an A+ student easily. But
so academically, like that school just came naturally for you, but you just had no interest in it.
Right. So if I was more attuned to study and stuff like that, instead of relying on my natural talent or abilities, it would have been easy to be an A student easily. But I was cool with passing tests and not applying myself. Like, hey, I'm passing. That's all you want from me, so I'm passing. So,
And did you have people in your life that told you, okay, well, you should do good in school and do sports and go to college? Or no, you didn't have those like positive mentors in your life?
No, I didn't have any mentors and role
Mhm.
models like that. So,
Mhm.
no, I had my godmothers that would always encourage me uh, with stuff here and there. But as far as someone to be that role model to keep you on track
Yeah,
and to kind of guide you through different phases, like
yeah,
year by year, I
yeah,
didn't have that.
yeah.
So, it was more of a, learn as you go,
Hmm.
and whatever environment you're in, you just learn as you go.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that environment for me was just running around with people who were like just like me. It's like,
yeah.
running the streets and shit. So
Hmm. Hmm. Now, what happened after CI when you graduated? What did you do after that?
ran streets,
Mm.
ran streets a little bit, had a job, had a
In
kid.
Brooklyn or in CI?
A little bit of both, depends
Or
on what
both?
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was just more of a, you know, got no direction, got
Hmm.
no didn't have like you said, a mentor, so to speak. So I
Yeah,
didn't have that.
yeah. Oh, the one thing I wanted to also touch on, like when you were in CI, like didn't you have some like racial encounters with police when you were like walking
Um,
from McDonald's?
yeah, I'm trying to remember what year was that. I think it
Mhm.
was
I think you,
11th grade,
oh,
year.
yeah.
Yeah, junior year. I was
Hmm.
walking down Suffolk Ave, and I just came from McDonald's. My twin sister was working there.
Yeah.
So I came from McDonald's, and I literally was eating a cheeseburger.
Down the street on
Had a
Suffolk
cheeseburger in
Avenue.
my hand, walking. I just crossed Wheeler Road,
Yeah.
going home, and all of a sudden I got to the corner. Police cars zoom around the corner, freeze, guns out, like 3 or 4 cars, guns out, and like freeze. I'm like,
3 or 4. Wow. You're like, I'm just
like,
eating my cheeseburger.
what's up? Like, please don't move. Okay, what's up? Eating my cheeseburger. And
Yeah.
I was with a dude I was cool with. Name was Lou, and he was like, "Yo, what the fuck is going on?" I'm like, "I
Yeah.
don't know." And it's crazy. I'm like, "Yo, I just walked from McDonald's. You can go there and ask them. They just seen me. They didn't give a fuck. They're like, nah, you was identified in the robbery at knife point at the train station." I'm like, "No, it wasn't. It wasn't me. You fit the
Yeah.
description. It wasn't me. I got a cheeseburger in my hand, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I was just at McDonald's."
Yeah.
And they didn't give a fuck. They locked me. They put me in handcuffs. My boy ran to the
Wow.
crib, told my mother, "Yo, they just locked Dave up." She's like, "What?" It's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." So, they took me down to the precinct,
Hmm.
and I actually had to spend the night in jail.
Really? And
Yeah.
your mom is a police officer, and a lot of people in your family's in law enforcement, aren't they?
Yeah. So I had to spend the night in jail. And,
Mhm.
you know, my mom found a good lawyer, and ultimately it got dismissed. But,
Oh,
you know, it just that experience alone was crazy, because it's
was
like,
that their first experience of trying to be like kind of framed, or you had other ones before that?
no, I had like 2 more, if I'm not mistaken.
Before that or after that?
No, after.
Oh,
Like 2
afterwards.
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Like 2 more. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's crazy. And that's why in a way it kind of leads me to not wanting to look like everybody else around me.
Okay.
There's a time and place for the way you look.
Yeah.
But for the most part, for me now, it's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to blend in anymore.
Oh,
You know
okay.
what? I'd rather stand out than blend in,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I see how blending in can fuck you over. And I was one of
Oh.
the lucky ones.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
one of the lucky ones for it to happen 2 or 3 times and not and get out of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
What were the other 2 times? One was, I know one I told Sunrise in the podcast. One was they brought you in for a lineup. So what happened there? What were the other 2 times that it happened?
no, that was something different.
Oh.
That was something that kind of was the tail end of something else. I was in Brooklyn with my
Hmm.
boy, one of my boys, and we got into some shit, and we got arrested. We had to spend, I remember that, we spent the weekend in jail, July 4th weekend, we spent in jail. He wound up having a warrant, so they didn't let him out. They let me out.
Mm-hmm.
My aunt kind of got me out. My aunt is an attorney, so she got me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was supposed to do community service.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, I'm not doing no fucking community service. I wasn't guilty. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm not doing no fucking community service. I wasn't guilty. That's for guilty people. So I said, fuck y'all.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I just kept it moving. I'm like, you know what? And then I forget, somebody told me, like, yo, you got to do that because eventually they'll put a warrant out for you. So I, you know, like I tried to go, you know, answer it months later, and I'm sitting there. They told me, oh, okay, you know, just have a seat out there. I'm sitting there. I'm probably like 17,
Yeah.
18. I'm sitting there. This white cop comes up to me. He's like, hey, Dave. Like,
You're like, wait, what? Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, he starts talking to me. And this is why I'm very guarded with the way I talk to people.
Yeah.
Because I know how people will just get you talking to use whatever you say, gather information.
Well, didn't your mom teach you that also? Like not to say anything?
She did, but at that time, you know, it wasn't drilled in my head. She taught it to us, but it wasn't drilled in my head to do that with everybody.
Oh,
you know?
Okay. Okay.
You know, it was more or less like, you know, don't offer up information. That's basically what she said.
Yeah.
So, you know, as far as talking to that cop, he was like, you know, start asking me questions, playing friendly and shit like that. He's like, hey. And somehow I forget how it happened, but he, you know, he kind of asked me, hey, could you come with me? We just want to da-da-da-da. And he took me to a precinct in Queens somewhere. Now I was in Brooklyn, like downtown Brooklyn. He took me somewhere in Queens. I don't remember where it was at.
Wow.
And, you know, motherfucker wound up putting me in a cell. I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, we just gotta ask some questions. Like he knew, he got me talking, and he asked me like, did you ever live in Far Rockaway? And I wound up talking.
Oh.
And saying, yeah, I used to live out there, blah, 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 da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And then he put me in
Yeah.
a crime that he wanted to put somebody attached to a crime.
So he was trying to frame you.
Somebody was robbed at gunpoint and then gun butted. So that was 2 felonies right there.
Oh.
So he possibly placed me at a crime because I had a link to Far Rockaway at that time, and it happened on the train between Far Rockaway and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So with that, he kind of placed me there, and once he told me what was going on, I'm like, oh hell no. So I knew I had one phone call, so I let it play out. And by letting it play out, I sat there and he put me in a lineup. And at a desk, sitting, not even standing up. No, not like in the movies where you're standing at the chart behind you is it's got your height and you hold up a number or something like that. It wasn't even like that. He sat me at a long desk I was 18 at the time, most likely.
Yeah.
And young, I'm fairly light skinned, not as light, but I call him so beige and beige. So I'm not that brown. And he put me into a lineup with like 5 other dudes.
Yeah.
That were like older, probably in their 30s, mid 30s, late 30s.
Yeah.
Probably looked like they was from a homeless shelter.
Oh.
And I'm sitting there, everybody had a number in front of them.
Yeah.
So the room was pretty small, like probably about 8 feet away from me was the door. And you know, we're all sitting there. I'm looking around, I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, I'm in this lineup, and the room's quiet. And I heard him say, yo, pick number 5.
Oh
I looked down, my number was 5.
You're like,
oh hell no. I banged on the table like, yo, take me back to my cell. I need to make my phone call now.
Yeah.
So I made my phone call.
So at least you knew your rights, that you're like, listen, I need to make my phone call. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. So, you know, I had to make my phone call, and I told my mom what happened. She was like, what? So she kind of got on the phone, started making her phone calls. You know, I had to spend another, I think, 2 days in jail there.
Oh, wow.
So,
in Queens now, right?
And they had me in a holding cell. Then later on that night, they transferred me to Queen's house, which is on Queens Boulevard.
Mhm.
And that's like the first stop before you head to Rikers Island.
Really?
So yeah. And
Wow.
I'm like, I'm in there, I'm, walking around. I don't see no familiar faces. So I'm just, I'm prepared for anything.
Yeah.
And, I wound up talking to a few people that were from Far Rockaway.
Yeah.
I didn't know them, but they were from Far Rockaway and
So
stuff
you
like
felt
that.
like you were starting to like at least make your connections with people in jail to like protect
Yeah,
yourself, right?
not to a point of I feel like there's friends, but there was some type of common ground with somebody. But I was still leery because I know like people will play you close just to get just to take advantage of you or something like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I wasn't falling for that.
Mhm.
But I was the next day I was in there, just I'm like, if I ain't out by tonight, then I'm going to Rikers Island tomorrow.
Oh my God.
So
Then
the
it'll be
night
harder.
came,
Then it'll be harder for your mom to get you out, probably, right?
I don't think it'll be harder, but
Oh.
it's a different environment,
Oh, okay.
way different.
Like
And
criminals who are not really,
nah, it's just Rikers Island is big, so
Uh-huh.
it's just a different element.
Yeah.
Just put it like that. It's a different element,
Yeah.
and it was just you gotta prepare for that shit because it's like, how could you put it in a word?
It's serious. It's like,
Serious is an understatement.
oh,
Serious is an understatement. It's
yeah.
Rikers Island. You got to become somebody else.
Yeah.
You got to become somebody else.
Yeah.
Your worst part of you has to come out to
Oh,
survive.
yeah.
You got to be able to call it up when needed. Now you can't
Yeah.
shrink when the time comes. You can't shrink.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I'm not out by tonight, I'm going to Rikers. So I was meant to be preparing for that shit.
Oh, okay.
And night came, and I'm like, shit, I'm about to go to Rikers.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in my cell looking out the clouded ass window. I'm like, I'm going to Rikers tomorrow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, it is what it is. And I'm ready to try to go to sleep. The officer comes to my cell and he's like, yo, Harper, get your stuff.
Mhm.
I'm like, what? He's like, get your stuff. All right, cool, I'm out.
Oh my God.
And I didn't know who was there to get me.
Yeah.
So I wasn't asking no questions.
Yeah.
Until I got away from that cell and they took me down to processing.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yo, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, somebody came to get you. I'm like, word?
Mhm.
All right, my mom's.
Oh
My
my
mom
God.
came and got me.
Yeah.
And like shit. I don't know what she did. She pulled some strings. She know people, whatever. Her captain knew people.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that I'm one of the lucky ones.
Yeah. That's
Definitely one of the lucky
insane.
ones because like that's the Central Park Five. They were
Yeah.
from, and they lost a lot of their years in jail.
How many?
And,
Yeah. That they were in jail for how many years? Like 10, over 10. I don't know
I don't
what it was,
remember. I don't
or
remember.
more. I'm not really sure. And what was the other encounter that you had with police officers?
Oh man, it's been a few. I don't even want to go through all of them. It's been a few. I don't want to go through all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, but now I see, I've lived the injustice. Let's put it like
Yeah.
that. I've lived the injustice that people speak about.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
seen it. I've lived
I
it.
was just watching 13 a member on Netflix, and honestly, one of the kids' story was exactly where it was similar to yours. Like he was walking, I think he was just walking down the street. He got the police officer just took him in. I'm just like, listen, just come with me.
Yeah, that's how they do it.
Yeah, they're just
They
like,
use
just
their
come with
badge.
me. And
They use their badge and influence.
yeah, like
Hey.
he didn't do anything. He's just walking black, basically, right?
That's how the cop got me. He was like, hey, you mind coming with me?
Yeah, so that's what they did to this kid in the Netflix special. They just like, just come with me. And then he ended up being stuck in jail for a huge amount of time.
Yeah.
And then when you're in jail, you have to become somebody else and you have to protect yourself.
The funny part was when, I had to go collect my property, I had to collect my property, certain, like, I forgot what it was, but there's a few items. And when I went back there, me and my mother, she drove me. And when I went back there, I had to go around the side of the building to claim your property. And I'm there. I don't know who my mom, her captain called, but the cop that framed me, this white cop, that framed me, detective, the same one who framed me, was outside waiting for me with all my stuff in a box.
Wow.
He was like, you know, he's like, yeah, I got your stuff for you. I knew you was coming, so I got your stuff for you, so you don't have to go through all of that stuff.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, no hard feelings, right?
Yeah, there's hard feelings. What?
I said, fuck you. You tried to destroy my life. Give me my shit. And I just snatched it out of his hand.
Yeah.
Like, you tried to destroy my life. Like,
Yeah.
no hard feelings. Maybe in your world, motherfucker, but not in mine.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, but you know, I try to teach a lot of young dudes now that, yo, you got to be leery of this stuff because it's real. And you may not have the connections or whatever, or maybe even the blessings that I have to get out of it unscathed. So you gotta be mentally prepared and ready to move differently. And
you gotta know the laws. So when they do something, you're like, listen, you're going against the law, and this is not right, and you have to figure it all out to make sure you protect yourself, because that's exactly it. You had family members that were able to help you and get you out. So I've always said that was a huge blessing that your mom was in police, and then you had other families that were were able to help you, because technically if you didn't have that, you would still be in jail just for being framed or just for walking down the street eating your cheeseburger.
I would have given a lot of my time to the prison system had I not had the family I have.
Yeah, and then when you become somebody else in jail. So this kid who was, taken in, he had to become someone else. He started getting into fights. Eventually they dropped all the charges, but I don't remember how long it was, but they eventually dropped all the charges and he was let out. But now, like, his mental state is all messed up now.
Yeah.
His mental state
your mind is shaped differently when you have to go through that, because you live in a constant state of fight or flight.
Yes.
So you can't, there's no way to flight to. So you're always in that fight stage. So you become very combative in nature.
Yeah.
So it's like at the drop of a dime, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So
when he got out, I think 2 years afterwards, he hung himself.
I think I know who you're talking about.
It was a young kid.
Brown, I think, right?
I forgot his name, but he was young. I gotta find his name, but his story just really hit me because it's just like so many other, Black kids who were just taken in, and a lot of them didn't get out, and they're still stuck in jail probably. And
it's you know what? A lot of people like to act like it's not such a big deal with the onset of the whole Black Lives Matter movement. And they're like, all lives matter. That's not the issue.
Yeah.
Nobody's going around just killing random people just like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a systematic issue where Black and brown faces face either going to jail, falsely accused of stuff, or being killed. Yeah. So Black Lives Matter because nobody else goes through that shit at the rate that we go through it.
Yeah.
So I'd like somebody will say that, I'm not waving that banner of Black Lives Matter, but I support it in the notion of it. So if it may come up and I hear somebody say, all lives matter, like, yo, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, because you don't understand it.
Yeah.
So don't comment on it because you're trying to make it all encompassing. Yeah. Don't comment on it because you don't understand it.
Yeah, like, you didn't live through it. Yeah, you don't know it.
Why it's segregated like that. Yeah. Why Black Lives Matter. You don't understand it. So don't comment on it because you're commenting from ignorance. Because you say all lives matter because you just want to sweep it under the rug. And that's the problem. Yeah. It's not swept, it's being swept, it's tried to be swept under the rug. And the more they try, the more they can't. Yeah. Especially with social media now. Everybody's showing everything that's going on. So, it's more of an issue now. It's been happening forever, but technology is putting it under the microscope now. Yeah. You can't really hide it because there's cameras everywhere.
Yeah, so that's a huge blessing. It's a huge blessing. I mean, now just for that aspect of it, now that if anybody does anything, at least you have your phone, and hopefully you can get it onto social media and get it out there instead of just being hidden. All these stories that have been hidden, right? Like they had no voice.
The other problem is that sometimes you got to put the camera down and help.
Yeah.
You just can't be a bystander sometimes. If like somebody's life is in jeopardy,
Yeah.
no. Wouldn't you want somebody to put the camera down and help you if you was in a situation?
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Like,
Yeah.
yo, put the fucking camera down
Yeah.
and help.
Yeah.
You can take the beginning of it. You have the documentation to
Yeah.
justify whatever action you feel you need to take to help another human being out.
Yeah.
Whether you're black, brown, white, purple, whatever, help
Mhm.
another human being out if they're in danger, whether it's another civilian or police officer.
Yeah.
Help. If you know it's wrong, help.
Yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree. You have to help. You have to help whoever is around you who isn't able to, who doesn't have the power to, and that's the whole point. Help each other, and that's what Art and Hustle Galley Conversation is. Because I feel like everybody's story will also, one story at a time, I feel like will help somebody. So your story will help somebody, you know. And I feel like everyone who comes on here has a story that can change somebody else's life.
Yeah, I mean, just to switch up the tone because that's kind of heavy with all of that.
Yeah.
Art and Hustle is a great platform. It helps. I think it helps a lot. I think it's almost like a community service. Like, you know, something, you just created something that resonates with people on a level of an organic level. Like people could automatically say, I belong to that community of Art and Hustle.
Yeah.
You know, I've gone to the shows. You know, I know the creator of it. You know, it's a beautiful experience. It gave me an opportunity to showcase my creativity, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And I wasn't asked to pay an enormous amount of something that's unaffordable to me to just to feel good about expressing my creative side. So you know, Art and Hustle is like one of those things that just come out of nowhere, and it's just so organic, and it's uplifting, and it's a platform for people to just be. And you know, you never know what can come out of it, and it's a great networking also, because you know, you can wind up working with somebody that, you know, can enhance your creative skill set in some type of way. You know?
Yeah. What did you think when I first gave you the idea? I was like, oh, I think I want to do Art and Hustle, and here's the idea. Because I know you were supportive of it, but what was your first reaction?
I had no idea. Honestly, I had no idea what it could become.
Oh, okay.
I had no desire to be in the art world.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
You know that. I had no desire to be in the art world.
I know.
Yo, this ain't hip hop. I don't know what you want me to do. Like
I know, I dragged you in just like I always drag everybody in.
But you know, it worked because at that time I was focused on producing music and video and, you know, shooting videos and stuff like that. So it just worked that like, hey, this is my idea. This is how I think you can fit in. Like your vision was like I was a piece to the puzzle.
Yeah, exactly.
The puzzle of, you know, all I want to do is like, all I want to do is art.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, like I'm good at networking and, you know, talking to people, but all I want to do is art. So I'm like, okay, this is what she wants to do. I know I'm pretty good at, you know, I'm an awesome idea guy when it comes to putting the spin on something.
Yeah.
Like marketing.
Yeah.
The visual aspect of it was recording and then using my music that I was creating at the time.
Yeah.
To the soundtrack of those videos.
Yeah.
So it just, once you put it to me, I was like, yeah, it's something different. And at the time, I'm like, yo, hip hop videos, trying to shoot hip hop videos is fucking exhausting. Exhausting. You got to deal with people not being on time. It's so unorganized and unprofessional that it's like it's draining. So now I
think I remember. I think the first one that I pulled you into was my Controlled Chaos first curated multifaceted show. So it started out as Controlled Chaos that I curated at Image Gallery. And I remember I was like, listen, I think you should come because I need someone to take photos and I need someone to do some video. And I feel like I wanted to also help you get out of your bubble. I think you were in. I think you were going through something and I didn't want you to get into a negative space. So I
Right.
wanted to also help you and like, listen, I think this would benefit you. You like this stuff. And I wanted to give you another avenue and another perspective about the arts, you know? So I was like, yeah, come in. I think it will help be great. You know, you can do your photos and all that stuff. And that's part of how I like to bring everybody in. Because if I see a talent in someone, I want to be able to help and nurture that too. So any way that I can help and nurture that, I wanted to bring in like everybody and anybody into my show. And the first show was packed. I don't think people were able to
Yeah,
walk.
that first show was tremendous. That first show was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was so packed that people were just congregating outside, and if 10 people walked out, 5 people would walk in immediately. And it was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is dope.
I mean, that's crazy for like a first curated art show.
Yeah, I was like,
all kinds of different artists.
I've never seen anything like it. I've never been a part of anything like that, but I'm like, I like this. And I'm like, okay, all I need is my camera. So I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, the environment was dope, and I looked at it as an opportunity to network outside of my usual circle of anybody that maybe want a video done of hip hop.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Let me try this and see how it goes.
So that's good that you kept an open mind about it.
Yeah, I definitely kept an open mind because, you know, my camera was going to work. So it's like, you know, I love visuals. Like I said, like one of my biggest things, like I was just watching the Kanye thing on Netflix with the 3-part series, and the guy who took all that footage, him and Kanye would, you know, they started moving better as Kanye started ascending into who he was going to become. And they went back to Chicago. Kanye went to see his mom. He went back home, and he remembered this was part of his destiny, and he didn't even realize it because he's always, even as a kid, he had a video camera. And when he was watching, when he realized that, he put it in the documentary, he realized that, he said, this was part of my destiny, and I didn't even realize it because I wanted to be a comedian.
Oh, okay.
I stopped wanting to be I stopped my comedian career to follow Kanye and document all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize this was my destiny. This was my calling.
Okay.
And I'm like, in that instant, it made me remember, just like that, I had the same thing. Even when I was in the projects, when video cameras first became affordable and came out, my mother had one of those gigantic video cameras you put on your shoulder.
The really big box.
Yeah, so I'm like,
put the VHS tape in.
Yeah, you put the tape in, you got the buttons. It's like, you know, you're doing it like that. And I'm like, yo, I'm a visual dude. Outside of loving music, and I can produce music, I've always been a visual dude, and I love to.
You forgot about that. You forgot that part of you.
Yeah, that part was like partially dormant because I wasn't in the space of fully embracing that part of me of being so visual, of bringing things in my mind to life. You know, I write scripts and stuff like that, and you know, one of my biggest things, like I would love to put one of my script ideas out there, like put a whole cast together, production, whatever, or sell one of my scripts to somebody that can manifest it in just how I would see it. But hearing him and seeing him realize that connection that he had, it put me right back with my connection. I'm like, yeah, me watching Michael Jackson videos, all the videos that used to come out with, you know, either Michael Jackson or some of my favorite artists, movies, whatever it was that's visual that I connected to. I just always was fascinated with how the visual was put together.
Yeah, and plus when it connects to you, you kind of get lost in it.
Yeah. I can get tunnel vision easily on visual projects. It's something I really love. I can watch it numerous times, and I kind of like now, since I've done a few projects and I read a lot of notes and tips and stuff like that on directing. You know, I watch everything with a director's eye, and I piece it, and I watch it, and I dissect it as I'm watching. Like, okay, this frame was about 1.5 minutes. This what happened in the frame. The setting was this. So I'm watching everything as a director now and making mental notes. But the connection that it instantly gave me of you're visual. That's your strongest thing. You're visual. Get
that's
back
part
to
of that's part of who you are. That's part of
that's definitely who I am. I'm definitely visual. So it's a matter of I got to get back to that side of being very strong with my visual side and putting projects together, whether they're big, small, or whatever. I definitely need to get back to that.
Yeah, so I think that's what triggered you when you came to the beginning stages before Art and Hustle came about. It was controlled chaos shows. I think we did 3 shows when we eventually I was like, you know what, I like the name Art and Hustle, and I think I want to do Art and Hustle and make it that. And that's how Art and Hustle came about, where I just had that idea where I was like, you know what, this name, I think this is it. And I trademarked it and we moved forward with Art and Hustle shows, right?
Yeah. So with the Art and Hustle shows, it was just a matter of a transition to being more hip hop dominant and being open to the art world, which was a great experience, you know, opening my eyes up to like, oh shit, art is ill. Like, and then being able to shoot the event and then go back and edit it and put a little bit of a hip hop feel to it.
Yeah.
And put my music that I created to it.
Yeah.
Was like awesome for me.
Yeah.
It was a perfect combination. You know, and I have total control of it because all I got to do is show up and shoot. I don't have to wait on people's schedule. These, you know, it gives me total control.
Total creativity.
The creativity and the outcome is like nobody else can interfere with that because all I got to do is shoot. Yeah. So it's like that right there, doing it like in that manner puts me in my element. You know, and I want to say I'm a control freak, but I like, you know,
a little bit.
A little bit, but I think everybody is. But, you know, my sister told me, I think you've mentioned it before, that, you know, I work better alone on certain projects. Because, you know, I have my vision, and when my vision is interrupted, I get frustrated. So, you know, and I think that's what directors go through when they have their, you know, the directors on a high level. You know, you hear about it in the news or something, or read about it, like the director had a fit because this wasn't going on. So I understand because you're fucking with my creative vision.
And also, like, when you're in the zone, you're trying to stay in that zone so you don't lose like your whole vision, right?
Yeah, just like when I'm editing, I can't walk away from an editing project until I have this certain feeling of completeness. And no, the project's not complete by any means, but I have to feel I hit a certain level of completeness so that way I can say, all right, the energy I had, I'm good with walking away and coming back to it and then restarting it and
because
finishing
you have to get your vision down before you lose that idea.
So I do all the necessary parts. So I say, okay, I'm good. I watch it 2 or 3 times. I know there's more to do, but the foundation is set. So, you know, and even if it means losing sleep, I won't walk away until I feel that sense of, okay, I'm good. I can walk, I can come back tomorrow. Let me get some rest.
Yeah, that's the same thing how I feel when I have an idea for a piece of artwork. And when I finally get into the zone of what kind of art I like to do, I have to do it basically in one sitting.
Right.
It has to all come out in one sitting. I don't want to do part of it and come back to it. Like, different artists like to do that, but I realized for my like intuitive type of art I like to do, it has to come all out. The main ideas have to come all out in one sitting.
Right.
Yeah. Now, how did you get the idea to push me into these podcasts?
Well, the podcast came, I think it was a natural thing for the podcast to come because with COVID coming, I think I'm a visionary and idea guy. Like, I think I'm very strong in that area. And not to toot my own horn, but I think my ideas is brilliant.
You do have brilliant ideas.
I think I'm fucking
That's why I keep you around.
I think I'm brilliant when it comes to ideas, and then not just have the idea and it's like, well, I don't know how to get it done. It's like brilliant, and then the brilliant idea hits, and then it's like, and this is how to get it done. And with Art and Hustle, you know, with the way we were constructing the shows, like the Biggie show, the Tupac show, the POP show, all those ideas I came up with were just, you know, I'll backtrack and say I apply psychology to it. You know, I went to, when I did my online classes for Full Sail University, one of my classes was behavioral science and something else. I had 2 psychology classes. And I did really well in them, and it taught me a lot. about human behavior. And one of the things with human behavior is everybody wants to belong.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to be a part of something that they can say that they can feel proud about,
Yeah.
even if that's where the whole 15 minutes of fame or 15 seconds of fame come from, because everybody wants to say, I was there, I was a part of this. Oh, I know him, or I know her. I was there when this happened. So everybody wants that. That's part of our makeup as human beings, because it adds to us and it makes us feel proud. And in some, it makes us feel relevant, you know, to be able to speak about something and be a part of it.
Yeah.
So with the psychology I added, with all the concepts that we came up with and just knowing how to make it pop, is like we did the Biggie theme shows 2 or 3 years in a row, and they were bomb.
Yeah.
And everybody loved them.
It was packed every time.
Yeah, everyone was packed. And all the other theme shows were packed.
Yeah.
The Wu-Tang show, packed. So, you know, all those ideas was because I looked at what resonates with people. Like people love Biggie, Tupac, Wu-Tang.
And when we love it because that's where we grew up. That was hip hop.
Right. And even the pop show, the all women show, I knew that would resonate. I knew that was going to be a big show because, you know, woman power is great, but woman power with an artistic feel, and it's all about women in their creative element to shine the light on women's creativity. And it's only women. Was like a no-brainer for me. Yeah. So once I told you the idea and you was like, oh yeah, great. Like, cool, let's get it done. Yeah. And you know, and it just gave me another opportunity to capture it. Like I come up with the idea, I explained it to you, you did what you do to start the process, get the ball rolling. I get it done. And then I can step back. I can step back and wait for it to happen and give you the ideas, all the details to the idea, step back, wait for it to happen, and then get my camera out and then do what I do. Yeah, so, you give me the idea and then I start planning, I start getting all the artists, I start doing the flyers, do everything, you know, so I execute it. So you give me the idea, I execute it, and then you do the filming, right? Yeah, so it's just like. So why did you think that I would be good doing these podcasts? Because I believe it was more of a brand thing and just getting you. I knew you was uncomfortable with being in like talking on completely uncomfortable. So, but I knew you would have to, because Art Hustle's your baby. It is. It's your idea, and you believe so much in it. I didn't want the pandemic to take it away from you. So with the brand, didn't want it to die down and lose its traction. Yeah, like with everybody staying in place. Yeah. You know, you can't interact with people face to face. Yeah. You can't do all these things face to face. So I'm like, so it's just logical to you. Yeah, it was complete logic. So I'm like, this brand speaks for itself. People love this brand. Yeah. You can't let the pandemic take it from you, because we didn't know how long it was going to last. So if you do nothing, it will fade away. And then you would try to almost start from scratch again. Yeah. And I was like, I can't let that happen. I can't let it happen. So I'm like, podcasting was the best way to interact with people. And everybody started podcasting, like, yo, I can't go outside. I can turn my computer on though. So, you know, everybody was Zooming. Yeah, I'm like, hey, do a podcast, Art and Hustle podcast. We can't be physically in the same space. We have a following of, you know, thousands of artists on the Instagram page. That's your core audience right there. All you got to do is market to them, and it will take care of itself. Yeah. And, you know, once I explained it to you and you kind of was like, okay, you let it roll around, you did a couple, and it's like, you know. Yeah, I mean, originally I thought that we would interview people together, because, you know, I'm a shy person. Yeah. So but I didn't want to overshadow. This is your baby. So with your baby, I didn't want to overshadow with, you know, trying to do it as a tandem. Yeah. It's just like, no, I give you the idea, support you. I showed you how to edit. So yeah, I had to learn how to edit on iMovie. By showing you how to edit. Yeah, by showing you how to edit. I know, and that like, too was more responsible for it, because I mean that too was a big thing that I had to get through too. So along with like hosting, now you're like, listen, you got to learn how to edit too. I think I was interested in it also because I like to learn new things. So I think I wanted to learn how to edit too, because I thought it was interesting and something new. You know, So you know, with I felt like it was making you more responsible for the success of it. Once you learn how to edit, I show you how to edit, and now you got to shoot. It's like turn on your computer, schedule an interview with somebody, and just go for it.
Yeah.
And you're doing pretty fucking great because you're now developing your style and how you present the finished product, and it looks dope.
Yeah.
It looks really dope.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it that you think it looks dope now, because I take in the things that you taught me about iMovie, and then I added a little bit of Linda Flair.
Of course. You added, your creativity. You added your art style to it, which is something that resonates with, but you put your stamp on it.
Yeah. And I remember the first one I had edited, and I kept telling you my vision of it, and you're just like, I don't get it. I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, listen, let me just edit it and I'll show you. And when you saw it, I think you were like, oh, I really liked it.
Right. Right. Yeah. It was great.
Yeah.
And from that initial style, you've grown, and you've dropped certain things and you added certain things. So it's like, now it's like, yo, this is your style of editing. This is your style of putting a project out.
Yeah.
And it's resonating. You're completing your first season. I think you're completing your first season now.
Whose car is that? Is that someone's car?
I don't know. But it's a dope podcast because it re-emphasizes the brand.
Yeah.
It really re-emphasizes the brand. It keeps the brand out there to the public.
Makes it still relevant and the connection between the people. Yeah.
Yep. And it's just something that had to be done because you did all the work the years previous to COVID.
Yeah.
So why would you let something take from you that you created out of nothing?
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of just pressing on, being consistent and pressing on, pushing through the hard point, because COVID, we didn't know if it was going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So we just had to adapt on the fly quickly and be like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. This is my brand. I love it. People love it.
Yeah.
Even with the merchandise. Like, I tell people when I talk about it, like, Artandhustle is dope, and there's merchandise throughout the world now.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I first started.
Left America.
Yeah. Like when I first started, I had somebody, I think this artist from Germany, I think his IG is like Art is Bullshit, and he loved it, and he had a humongous following. He's like, I really like that hat. Like, I need one of your hats. So it's in London, it's in Germany, it's it's international. Yeah,
even in in the country, it's in different states.
Yeah.
So it's out there, and like something like that, as long as you keep it out there, it'll never die down.
Yeah.
It can only keep growing and being more than what you probably even thought about it in the beginning, because ultimately you just wanted to do your own art shows.
Yeah, I wanted to do my art shows, but then I started. Yeah.
We're opening back up. You can do shows again eventually, and then you can have, now you have your merchandise, you have your events, then you have a podcast. You have the beginning of an empire.
An empire.
Yeah. You have the beginning of an empire. So I mean, it started organically, just from a vision you had of, I just want to do my own dope art shows. I don't want to do this stuffy gallery shows.
Yeah, that was the trigger of it, because I was like, I have art, but I can't get into these stuffy art shows. So I guess I'm just going to do my own, because it started with my own curated show. And then I met all of these amazing people, and I was like, these people are all dope. Like, I think I want to help them too. So like, in turn of me doing my own, I want to help them. And now it's like expanded to this. And I honestly really want to thank you to pushing me to do these podcasts, because I was probably kicking my feet, stomping my feet. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this alone. But along with like all your ideas that you had for Artandhustle shows, I think I always embrace them, because I want to foster your ideas too. So since you had this idea, I'm like, okay, let me sit in it. Let me absorb it. And thank God, since I started it in September, the first couple shows sucked, but I edited them. I kind of got stuck in the process of edit, but thank God in February or January, I picked it back up. And now I'm getting into the flow and the rhythm and the zone of it, I think. And now I'm enjoying it more, and I'm getting better at talking to people and better at editing. And like you said, now I have a certain style to my edits.
Yeah.
And so I want to thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, I believe in the energy that you give people. You have to, you give people, you have to make sure you get it back.
Yeah.
And it's like that
Reciprocal
yeah,
relationship.
reciprocal energy, and it's like the balance of, you know, give and take. And I was like, I read a book recently, The Go-Giver, where they talk about the natural flow of the universe
Yeah.
is always giving and receiving.
Yeah.
And if you stop the receiving or the giving, you're interrupting the natural flow.
Yeah.
Of the balance. You
Yeah.
have to, like, you cannot disturb that balance of giving and receiving.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like, you know, perfect example they said in the book, like somebody wants to, you go out to dinner, somebody wants to pay.
Yeah.
Don't go back and forth and say, no, thank you, I got it. You're like, okay, thank you, I appreciate it, because
Yeah.
that's them giving.
Yeah.
You know, and at the point that they're giving, you're receiving. And even at a point where you're giving to somebody, they're receiving, somebody else somewhere else is receiving something. So it's that constant flow of giving and receiving throughout the entire world that we have to keep the balance. But that's one of the things that I feel so strongly about, is like people who are selfish and only want to just take. And like there's a movie called Takers, and I emphasize that a lot with like I try to identify takers, and I want to stay as far away from them as possible, because I don't like people who just want to do one-sided, opportunistic, and just seeing what they can get for themselves without giving back. Yeah. So, you know, that's a big thing for me, of, you know, always being in a position to give and receive. Yeah. More honestly, I feel like giving more because I don't look to receive when I give. It's just how I'm built.
I mean, like technically that's the true essence of giving. You should give without expecting anything in return, technically, but obviously it should be like a reciprocal yin yang balance of things, give and take. Yeah. Yep. So, all right. I want to end the podcast with a couple of Oprah questions that I like to ask everybody. What do you think the purpose of life is?
The purpose of life is to find yourself, nurture yourself, evolve, and live with your purpose and your calling.
What do you think the secret to a happy life is?
Living in your purpose, in your calling, and knowing and being true to who you are. Yeah.
What is your 5-year plan?
5-year plan is to create a gigantic, pretty much my own empire. You know, I'm in real estate. I'm learning real estate, getting into that, and then I'm I have to get back into my visual projects. You know, the Hustlers Hotline. You know, the Black Dice Hustlers clothing, and you know, just create something that I could be proud of, and to show other people that it doesn't matter the cards you're dealt in life, long as you want to achieve something and you have that vision and you have the fire to keep going despite either having very little support or no support at all. As long as you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything you want when you put your mind to it, no matter what. So that's part of that plan, to just inspire, basically. Anything I want to do, I just want to inspire.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dave Harper. This was amazing, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate being on this podcast of mine. So thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you soon.
Finally getting back to me, you know, my art. All I want to do is art. And the other thing is that I love stories. So like, to me, art is in everything. Your art is your voice, your speaking, your connection. You know, you can feel everyone's energy. That's your art. It's the art of living to me. So art and hustle to me is the art of living, and art of it and everything.
I hope that you cut that piece right there and make it your intro and your outro, because that was dope.